Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Cheeseadelphia 6. We're going to be getting started with our next series, and this is probably the one I'm the most excited about that we've seen so far. It is going to be Tesla facing off versus Future.
Why is it so exciting?
So here's the thing. Both of these players, I think, are, in a sense, up-and-coming players. Tesla is what I would say is kind of the more inconsistent player, but he has shown a lot of promise. He's shown a lot of variety in his playstyle. Future is the name that every single player that I think is in the North American scene, when you say, oh, who are the up-and-comers you're looking out for? Everyone just, without even thinking, is just like, oh yeah, so Future, but like, who else do you mean, I'm sure? Because Future's like a given at this point. A lot of people are on the lookout for Future. So this is going to be kind of a really cool battle between, I think, potentially two really close players, but it could also end up being a one-sided match either way.
Okay, it is going to be a TVP. We just witnessed one, but I can almost guarantee that it won't look anything like that last series.
Yeah.
Almost guarantee.
Almost guarantee. Future definitely, I think, is probably going to play a little bit different than Avilo. But Tesla, he is definitely going to be a big question mark in my mind on how he wants to play this out.
Okay, well, we're going to have to see what he wants to do as we are into the first game. Ascension to Ire in the top left. As the Red Terran, he is Future.
And his opponent spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, representing Sloth Esports Club. Give it up for Tesla.
He's got a lot of his teammates here to support him. That's actually kind of like really cool thing. Like not just one or two people from teams game, but like a ton of people from multiple teams game to play, and then of course to cheer on the teammates who are still left alive.
Yeah, it's also just a really cool thing because, like you were saying, it's multiple teams came out, but they also it's a nice sort of bonding experience when you get to go to these LAN events because there are all these people that you talk to online. You have your Skype chats, your Discord groups, and you all kind of have fun and enjoy StarCraft together. But it's really at these LAN events that you all get to actually hang out and, you know, go get food with each other, really talk about how much you hate that one particular race or something. You get to all the fun arguments. These are where I think a lot of the memories end up getting made.
I agree. Now we have Tesla scouting a lot. A lot. That probe went everywhere. Any place that there could be a proxy, that probe went, and anything else isn't really a proxy anymore. It's like in the middle of the map.
Yeah, Future has a bit of a reputation, I think. He can play a lot of the macro games, but he loves to proxy and cheese and be super duper aggressive in pretty much every matchup that I've seen. So I don't really blame Tesla for doing this. This might actually be a lot of that kind of ladder experience where he's played versus Future and seen, yeah, you know, I got to be careful versus this kid.
Well, he definitely was careful. Finally gets to the main base to see that the barracks is on location where it should be, the command center as well. Future is sending on an SCV himself. Now, a little bit later, so not so much like a proxy one base robo or something, but maybe for like a proxy 2-base Stargate, or even just a simple proxy pylon that you can warp in, slow warp in, to just get that little bit of an edge, especially if the Terran doesn't want to build a bunker. That's when an extra stalker can be life or death depending on what their build order is, and Future is going for currently a 1-1-1 it looks like. I don't know about factory builds so much anymore. Like Widow Mine Jobs used to be the standard go-to. Super Sid goes into a tank push as well, but they just don't do as much damage anymore. So we've been seeing a lot of Hellions out of the factory because even though they might have units ready to go, the Hellion just dip in through the stalker damage anyways, but because it's the Adept.
Yeah, the Adept actually killing off the Reaper that early on. It's not a huge deal, but it always feels so good as a Protoss player. It is one of the most relieving things to, well, okay, we'll talk about this probably in a second, but yeah, it means that that Reaper doesn't get a chance to move back into the main base, not only to scout, but also just to be annoying and pick off pros. But now Tesla going for the proxy pylon on the other side of the map. Looks like he might end up getting really aggressive with that Twilight Council.
The weakness of the Hellion opener and harassment definitely is that they're not very great at defending. I mean, they really are just supposed to get in and get probes and then get out. They take on one Adept okay, but not multiple. So it is going to be a Dark Shrine. As I said, Twilight Council was like, oh, it's not really fast enough to do a blink attack here, but a Dark Shrine that's not going to be scouted. The Reaper died. Terrans don't want to scan, and the medevac might go to the natural instead of the main.
Sabiga, remember when I said that Tesla likes to be creative?
Sure.
Tesla also has a special place in my heart for another reason. He is one of the few Protoss players out there that actually likes to go for Blink DT sometimes.
Oh, okay. That's gotcha.
And PBT is actually it's probably one of the better matchups to actually go for that in a un-memey way. You can actually get a surprising amount of damage done. There's going to be a big drop loading up over here. The Proxy Pylon exists already for Tesla, and the Dark Shrine is about halfway completed. Now, you can move in just when the Dark Shrine finishes. You don't actually need to wait for Blink or anything, but having the Robo on the way as well, you can also maybe go for a Warp Prism or something along those lines. But first, he has to defend against the drop.
This is my favorite reason to go for a drop, is that it does guarantee Scout as a Dark Shrine is finishing on 2 bases. So it is that 2-base Scout that can be really, really good. And if he goes into the main, it'd be absolutely perfect, but he's going to go for that tricky position on the ramp to try and kill the units straight up. He might get the units, but he won't get the Scout.
Oh boy, and yeah, this is actually buying time because now a Dark Templar gets warped in. It might have actually gotten warped in on the other side of the map. The Stalker is going to be taking damage from that Widow Mine. Now the Widow Mine is revealed, and the Marines are all still alive, so this is a bit tricky, but Tesla, if he really needs to, can warp into DT back at home.
Oh, the Engineer Bay is finishing, but what are the likelihood of him immediately making a missile turret? And even if he made one at the front, what if they just run past it while it's building?
Oh, okay. Future does have enough energy saved up for 1 scan. Second scan, not too far away, but there's just no units to actually kill the Dark Templar. Zombie Grab, there's a siege up on the high ground, but he's not actually bringing that down yet.
Yeah. DT is going to get out of scan vision anyways. It is going to be blocked off temporarily, and that DT dies to a Viking that was landed, so nice use of that. This did not do as much damage as I think that it could have, but 9 SCVs, a couple of scans, nice emergency repair. That's a Bloody Bow.
All right. To my dismay, no Blink being researched, but the DTs can continue to move on in, continue to get some damage done. The missile turret finishes up, so looks like Tesla's going to have to back out and be a bit careful about this, but hey, if he even forces out another scan, that's going to be really nice, but just keeping your opponent home is really, really nice to have.
So he'll see that shimmer and note that it's more than 1 DT and probably just like really be very frustrated. He dealt with the DTs about as well as possible because he didn't scout it. But what's super annoying is not being able to do your tank push or any type of push because they're going to send 1 DT, then another DT, then another DT. Guaranteed. You saw there was 3 DTs. So he doesn't have that many scans and it's going to just go ahead and continue with what is actually a 2-base push right now set up as. He went for 5 barracks instead of 3 into a 3rd CC.
All right. Well, Templar Archives also on the way right now for Tesla, so he's going to be able to get up Storm and High Templar or just Archons if he really wants to. He could still make the Archons with just the Dark Templars, but ends up taking off quite a few minerals. And oh man, this DT, yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about. You move in with one DT, gotta move in a little bit later on, but yeah, just forcing out these scans for a Terran player on 2 bases as well. That is really, really not something you want to be doing.
I really don't know about this 2-base push. I mean, he eventually might get a 3rd CC as he pushes, as the minerals will start coming in, but
this is so much damage from that DT. That DT killed off like 5-6 Marines.
Yeah, it's not so much the DT direct damage, I think, that's really going to screw over Future here. The 8 SCVs or 9 SCVs, whatever it was, is good, but it's the continued need of scans. It's the continued need, like, knowledge that you really can't push out safely when you're going for something that you're supposed to be pushing with. This isn't him like saying like, well, I'll just take my 3rd CC and then I'll turtle to like double Starport Liberators and that's fine. He means to do a push and it's being delayed even more and he really wants it to.
Oh man, DT even scouts out the 2 medevacs that are sitting out in the middle of the map. DT gonna make its way in on this army and start to go after some of these Marines forces. Yet another scan, but Future is definitely not banking up any extra energy for scans. So the DTs can also be really useful for the defense. It doesn't look like, okay, actually it does look like Storm was already researched. So Tesla got that out pretty quick.
Yeah, and Storm might just wreck this army completely. Future went for a Raven, which is going to severely hamper his medevac production, literally 1 at a time, and a Raven takes a long time to make it to begin with. So only 2, a couple of stims, and those will be just, useless anyways.
Oh, Tesla may have been expecting this push to come in at the 3rd, but it's going into the natural. Now Azella scouts this out. Tesla's going to scramble to get back into the right position. He does have an Immortal over by the natural. He can move in from multiple angles. Some bunkers getting set up is a cute move, but the Storms are going to be coming. They're gradually making their way forward. Are the Zelts going to survive long enough for it? Yes, they are.
Yeah. Okay, well, that is... I didn't think that would be the best way to deal with that push, but apparently it was.
Oh, lordy. Okay, well, Widowmine gets a good shot in at the end. A couple Archons are being forced out, but GG gets called. Tesla takes game number 1 off the back of some really good DT harass.
Yeah, I think that build order worked out really well. The choice to go for DTs, I guess, against someone who's 2-base all-inning. The 2-base all-in has really come back, I think, against the question mark that is TVP. And 2-base all-ins could be really, really good. That could be something that, like, Protosses mess up 5 times in a row in a best of 5.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it'd be like a best of 9, wouldn't it? But anyways, like, it can be. But the DTs just force it to be such an awkward timing and way too late and without the amount of units that you're hoping for. It's very awkward.
Yeah, I think it is, again, just about being effective with the Dark Templar too. It's actually very easy to just run them in and to have too many DTs get scanned all at once, to accidentally end up just realizing, oh, I've been actually making so many of these Dark Templars for the harassment that I wasn't teching up properly back at home, and I didn't get up. For example, that super fast Storm. If he didn't have Storm coming out and Chrono Boosted out that quickly, maybe that engagement does look a little bit dangerous, because the Storms are really what won him that engagement at the very end. Without them, maybe it's a little dicier.
Yeah, it's definitely dicier. I mean, maybe he still wins.
Yeah.
There's reinforcements, there's time to be bought, but absolutely the Storms made it look easy. But you're right, yeah, it is important that he was able to get that tech up, realize the importance of getting a Storm as fast as possible, but I would say that it would have been very bad of him not to, considering that when the second or third DT died and then he just made 3 and ran off with them.
Yeah.
He knew, like, okay, the clock's ticking, like I have this amount of time to do something. I know when he's going to push because my DT keeps running into him. He absolutely should have known that he had time to get Storm. So
Indeed.
good on him.
Well, we get ready to hop into game number 2 of this winners match to see who moves on out of the group and into the second group stage. We're going to be starting up here in the top right-hand corner of the map. Give it up for Rival Gaming's Future.
In the bottom left, as the blue Protoss, it is Tesla.
All right. Well, we're going to be hopping into this game, seeing how maybe Future ends up handling, I guess, whatever Tesla's going to throw at him. Again, like, Tesla was the big question mark in my mind on how he's not only going to perform, but what builds he's going to be throwing out. Because, again, he likes to get a little bit weird. He likes to play outside of the meta a little bit, but sometimes he plays a bit too far outside of the meta. I think he's in that right groove right now.
Okay. Once again, scouting a lot, too.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is seemingly, like, wanting to play his game, right? Which I guess everyone wants to do, but really forcing the game, because if Future did want to cheese, if he did want to go for a proxy and the probe scouts it this quickly, well, it might not be tap out time, but it'd be pretty close to it. So Tesla's going to get to that 2 base and do whatever shenanigans he's thinking of. The Dark Shrine was one way to be a little out of the ordinary. Not many people do 2 base Dark Shrine, although it does seem to be coming back into play. But most people are trying to abuse the Stalkers, Blink Stalker, threaten the Blink Stalker all in, go for the 3rd base, go for Double Forge. I mean, everyone kind of knows the drill by now, because it really did consolidate to 1 or 2 builds with 4.0.
Yeah, we ended up seeing a lot of pros players going for just a few of those builds, like you were saying, but okay, well, Future going for that command center on the low ground, goes for the Reaper opening, and I want to go back to actually that Reaper on the first game, because the Reaper managed to survive for a while, but the Adept got a kind of surprise kill on it that shouldn't have actually happened, and if that Reaper had gotten into the main base, he would have actually gotten a much better scat out on at least the Twilight Council coming out, and seeing that where there wasn't really a whole lot of research going on there, it actually would have been really helpful in trying to identify potential things that Tesla could have been going for.
I'm really surprised that it's like a weird effect where usually if the Reaper does die like that and you don't see a Twilight or a Robo, you're like, well, now I have to really try and scout. So the medevac follow-up in his case, because he does do a 1-1-1, would have been something where he intentionally went to the very back. But he definitely played a little too loose there. You know, the Reaper did die, and he didn't make it a point to go behind the mineral line and see what was going on.
Yeah.
Certainly a mistake on his part because he had the tools but didn't do the execution. He might be a little more on point about that this time. I do wonder why he always... I thought that last game he was going to go up to 3 or 4 Hellions, enough to dive into the natural and kill probes, but then he stopped after 1. I wonder if he'll do that again.
Okay.
Yeah, he does.
Reaper going to make its way up to the main base. The Stalker is there to greet it, and a second Stalker should be able to finish the job once again. Tesla denying the scout for Future, and Future does not recognize this is yet another Twilight Council follow-up.
The Hellion could get into the natural and do some scouting when the medevac goes into the main, and that's perhaps why he gets it. But otherwise, the Hellion is looking pretty useless. Doesn't help defensively. He doesn't really do a lot of damage. But he's going into a Widow Mine drop again. Or, well, I guess last time it was a Widow Mine Marine drop that took on the army, but just wasn't as good as DTs were.
Yeah, I think Tesla just had really good positioning with those Stalkers the first time, but this time, oh boy, gonna end up losing one of the Stalkers. The Marines gonna be able to do a little bits of damage. I was actually just wondering for a moment, like, I wonder if he gets the Hellion to like stand in front of the Stalker and slow it down as it's retreating or something, so the Marines can get extra shots off.
Yeah, that's one good thing about the Hellion is that even though it does like no damage,
Body blocks.
body blocks, yeah, and chases very, very low Stalkers down. But this is a normal opener. The Blink on the way, Robo, and even Forge coming down. This is something that Future will be able to see with the drop too, because if he goes to the ramp again, that's where the two tech buildings are. All
All right, Future asking for a pause, probably fixing up a few little things right before this drop gets underway, as really doesn't want to let too many crazy things happen. But yeah,
Got to rebound the drop for, key for drop. Not duo.
I mean, oh man, I was just thinking about some of the dirty secrets or tricks that we were talking about before.
Don't
But
lump me
I don't.
It wasn't my idea to change Overseer to or drop Overlord. That's what it was.
I'm gonna money match Scarlet. I'm gonna change her Spine Crawler hotkey to be the Spore Crawler hotkey, and vice versa. So she's gonna think she's building Spore Crawlers against my Dark
And
Templar.
she'll still win.
She'll still probably win, but you know what?
She
There will be
used
that
one
moment where I
hand.
kill like 25 drones and then she comes back, but I will feel good in that moment.
Okay, buddy. All right, well, it was quickly fixed, and now the drop is underway. I mean, there is still a Widow Mine in here, so the potential for explosive damage is here. But he is going right into the back, so not really bounce around the
That might
ramp.
taking a lot of damage already. It actually might get sniped off very quickly here.
Oh,
Oh my god!
what?
Oh my god. I don't know if that was really good focus fire from Future or what, but Tesla taking devastating damage right there.
I'm honestly confused as to how. He saw it, he pulled, and then he didn't continue pulling away. Had he just actually kept moving his entire army, including his Stalkers, I think it's actually what I tried to target on, he would have been okay. But that, I have not seen 15 deaths on a Widow Mine in a long time, but that has set up Future in a really, really good position. Now Tesla, a little bit desperate, pushing across the map. Sometimes there's a good opportunity, but Tesla is met with a tank, and he can't break that.
War Prism moving across the map. That has to be what Tesla is going to rely on to try and get some high ground vision, to try and move into the main base. But there's already a second siege tank up on the high ground. You can see Future setting up Marines up on the high ground as well and kind of splitting them up. And this is going to make it even more difficult. A third siege tank coming out as well. Future's just not going to let this break him.
No, probably not. There are some tricky things about tank usage, of course. You drop on top of them, you KO and you pick up again. There could be some cool opportunities, but it really looks like Future's got a handle on the defense. He just needs to make sure his, production is okay. He is slapping down 4 barracks almost at once. Okay, 2 of them are finishing now. Because that's his weakness right now, is maybe not a lot of Marines, but covering both tanks with each a handful is really smart.
Yeah. There's still that one Liberator sitting back behind the mineral line. Tesla trying to use some cute Blink Micro as it finds a really, really nice position just outside the Stalker range. So Stalker has to go wait until it has some more shields before it tries to go back in and snipe off that Liberator. Or at least a Blink off of cooldown. I think he can actually do it with Blink off cooldown. Ooh, scans coming down from Future. Trying to find that third base. Not finding anything.
He tried to get it.
Yeah. That was a good attempt. I mean, it's almost dead now.
Yeah. So Future just continued to commit to the defense, so very scared and rightfully so. He hasn't seen that third base. He saw Twilight Council still researching, so Charge is on the way now, and that could be something that breaks tank lines. He should be scared. When he has Stim, when he has Medivacs, I don't think he has to be scared anymore. And even though Tesla is getting to some pretty good upgrades here, Charge, Storm, +1 armor, the knowledge of no third is, Future should realize he's in okay position.
Well, might actually scare Future back for just a moment until he maybe gets those siege tanks into a better position to push back those Stalkers. A Storm drop, I think, on the way, as there's 2 High Templars sitting in this Warp Prism. This could be... this could actually be pretty effective, but there are... Man, I love that missile turret placement from Future up in the main base, just at a really nice angle to make it very difficult for those for that Warp Prism to get into a good position.
1 to 100 odds.
I think Tesla's maybe feeling that he may not have good odds in this game right now.
Yeah, I mean, that might be it. Thing is, I talked about that third base not being available for Tesla. Future has gained as many SEs.
I love this. He's trying to put mental pressure on Future, saying, "Don't throw this, man. Don't throw this. Like, you have this game basically won. How bad will you feel if you lose this?"
He still absolutely could, though. I know this is mean. Because the third base was denied for a long time. It's finally being put down now. They did allow Tesla to get to his own third about more than halfway done. And he has Storm, which is a great comeback mechanic.
No, not like that. Oh, my God.
Not like that is absolutely correct. And Doe is also correct, too. Now, Future has to be careful. There are still Storms available. The Warp Prism would have been a cool thing from behind. But coming from the front, if the tanks don't focus fire, there are 3 Storms still available.
Yeah, I mean, this is that weird moment where you also note that Future has a third, something that Tesla does not. Oh, God, the Widow Mines.
Yeah, and he took out the High Templars as well, so only 1 Storm was available. And that looks like it is, in fact, going to be it. Tesla had a couple of really great possibilities. The Warp Prism would have been great. The 4 Storms would have been great. But Future with some nice focus fire, some nice positioning. A little overstimmed, but not enough charge, I think, to take advantage of this.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to try and go for the moral victory here, I think, sniping off the Siege Tank and maybe even pushing back the drop. But again, Future has a third, healthily mining, and he has more reinforcements coming across the map. Slash GG. Future tying up the series 1-1.
So I feel like it's so mean of him. I think it's an absolutely, like, throwable position, I guess is still the right word because Future did have a really great position. But I always hesitate to say it's a throw because Storm can have, like, you don't counter Storm for so long. You don't get Ghost for a very long time. Your counter to it is smart play, which, I mean,
I think that was the brilliant thing about that mind game, though, because you convince your opponent that they're even more ahead than they think they are. Because, you know, StarCraft is a game where you only get to see your vision.
Yeah.
So it's always a little bit funny because, like, you can kind of sometimes you can start making false assumptions about how ahead or behind you are. You see that big clump of probes that get picked off by the Widowbind, and you're like, I killed a lot of probes. I don't know exactly how many probes. I don't know if my opponent was continuing to commit to something else. It's sometimes hard to get an exact read on the economy, so it's just like a nice little mind game. I like it. And sometimes it might even just help take the pressure off him. Like, he may feel less pressure himself if he's like, this game is already thrown. If I pull it back, that's cool.
I know I should like it because Future was in a good position, and that was, you know, they might know each other and are friends and stuff, but I just look at it, I'm like, this was a ladder game when I lost. It was so bad.
Oh, yeah.
You
feel terrible. Oh, man. But funny enough, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but we're going to be hopping into the game. Game number 3. As we start up here on the top left-hand corner of the map. Top of the red Terran player. Give it up for Future from Rival Gaming.
In the bottom right, as the blue Protoss, he is Tesla.
Yeah, as much as I was talking about the mind games and all that stuff and trying to get Future to maybe tilt if he loses that game or starts falling behind, I actually do think that Tesla's one of the players that does sometimes struggle coming back from behind. He sometimes has like those really rough losses and he lets it get to him. So I'm a little bit concerned about that going into this game just because that last game was pretty rough. But we'll have to wait and see how he's feeling.
Another very thorough scout with the probe. I'm guessing Future is anticipating this because opening up with a proxy sometimes is actually a really nice way to just open. Not even going to try here. When I was going over build orders in the last beginning of the last game, I kind of mentioned like 1 or 2 for Protoss, and yeah, Stargate's just not one of them anymore. But I kind of forgot that, of course, Protoss have their own cheeses to do.
Oh, we have a lot of cheeses.
Well, besides like Dark Shrine, I'm talking like, you know, Future
Proxy
did do
double robo.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to bring up. He did a thorough SCV scout at a 2-base attack, but not necessarily a 1. Okay, this seems faster, and he should be a little worried of something that Tesla can do as well. I'm glad they're both scouting, but they actually, there's not much use to it. There's nothing weird going on.
Yeah, both of these players are not afraid to throw out the cheese, which I really appreciate that they're both kind of respecting each other on that. And they're saying, like, yeah, you know, this guy would do it in Game 3. He would do this, so
yeah.
let's just be prepared for it.
Well, Future goes for the 1-1-1 again. It's highly unlikely he gets another Widowmine shot like that. It wasn't even like Tesla wasn't paying attention. It was literally paid attention, pulled, and then didn't continue pulling
Didn't pull
or
far
splitting.
enough away, yeah.
And that's just I don't think it's going to happen very often. So I mean that's not the linchpin of his build is a guaranteed 10 probes in the Widow Mines. But that is one of the reasons I feel like this has kind of fallen off is that Widow Mines have been getting nothing. They've been doing nothing, and the
Yeah.
medevac has been dying because Blink is always coming out so quickly. So what happens in a game where it looks like last game, but he doesn't get any probe kills whatsoever? Does he just get contained on 2 bases like he was, but had a lead that didn't matter for very long?
Yeah, it really did feel like Tesla would have been in a pretty solid position if not for that Widowmine drop. So that's going to be a pretty tough question for Future to answer, but we may be finding out soon. The Reaper tries to move its way back into the main base. He doesn't end up losing it at least, as that's another thing that has not exactly gone Future's way in a lot of these games. He has been relying on those kind of drops to get the scouting information, but Twilight Council and Robo on the way for Tesla.
I'm still really curious about this Hellion, man. Such a weird Hellion. And if it was a dive scout, if he wasn't going into a starport for a medevac and he just literally dived in to scout, I'd be like, okay. Some people do that. 100 minerals plus the Reaper usually guarantees it, but okay, I guess he's doing it this time.
All right. Reaper making its way forward on over to the right-hand side. Actually, no, just going to join it back up with the Hellion. I was wondering if he's just going to try and move in with both the Hellion and the Reaper at the same time to get that dive scout you were talking about, but oh, it's going to be the Dark Shrine again this game.
Okay. Reaper goes to the main, Hellion goes to the natural, and then probably to the main too, because there's not enough DPS to kill it.
Oh.
And I think he scouts that, but that did not. Maybe?
No, he
Did it?
didn't see it.
Very close to it, but this is where that Hellion, there was a
Yeah.
single Adept at the front of the natural, now there's another Stalker. That Adept would not have killed the Hellion, and it would have gotten into the back of the mineral line. So,
Yeah.
oh man, I didn't mean to put so much importance on that Hellion, but I just did. It really is that important. The medevac has got to get into the back now, and he failed to do that in the first game.
All right, Liberator follow-up for this. He is getting that engineering bay at least, so he will have some ways of getting up that eventual detection, but he doesn't have, well, I guess he still has a bit more time. He doesn't have to worry about saving up the scans, but he does actually have a little bit of energy saved up at that natural.
Yeah. Let's not forget that while the DTs were unscouted the first game, it wasn't necessarily the direct damage so much as it was Future's intent to push.
Yeah.
In this game, he goes for a third CC like last. So even if he doesn't scout this but deals with it in a similar manner, I think he's okay. But it's taken a while. He stops the medevac. DTs are already going to be on their way.
Okay, Liberator gets scattered out by that War Prism as they pass ways, and okay, DT drop gonna happen in the main base, where there still are no missile turrets right now, and the DT's gonna get some good damage done. Oh man, they're gonna actually tear through quite a few SCVs.
Yeah, and the fact that they're on production as well. You know, that first game, he was able to raise the supply depots and only lose access to his natural temporarily. I was going to say, I don't think he should make all of those CTs go down there. Does manage to save 2 from the scan. Widowmine's popped off and got equal amount of probe kills.
Oh, Liberator getting a lot of those actual kills here. Stalkers are going to be able to take care of them, and it looks like the DTs have pretty much been cleaned up at this point, but I believe the War Prism did survive, so he can still move back in a little bit later on. It's a lot of missile turrets going up, though. Oh, surprisingly, no missile turret covering the natural mineral line.
Oh my god!
Oh, that was so scary once again.
Why? Why? When is that? Oh, how often is Widowmine get a second shot? Oh, that was a new Widowmine. Clever. Very clever. But this is a little bit of an edge that was not seen until the barracks moved over. So, I'm not sure if he spotted it, but there's so many missile turrets, DT really can't do much.
Well, it might actually have almost gotten that reactor with the splash damage from the siege tank, but didn't quite get it. Well, Stalkers. Ooh, the Stalkers, I think they might know about that medevac moving across the map. No, I think it's just poking forward.
Yeah. A little bit tough on Abyssal Reef.
Doesn't have Blink either, so it's going to be difficult to push too far forward with the siege tanks there.
Yeah, that's a good point. He could skip Blink. All right, so right in the charge. Now, if Liberator's ever become a problem, and eventually they always do, he's going to want to have Blink, but that is going to be some time. Third base comes down. Future, already having his third base, has a really good worker count, up 6 to the Protoss. It's very good when you include rules as well.
Yeah, Stalker's taking some shots from the siege tank. 4 of them sieged up between the main and the natural, so it's very, very difficult to actually try and break that, even if you did go for some kind of War Prism stuff. And it looks like that War Prism did go down earlier. So Tesla going to have a hard time continuing too much on that front, especially since he's really going to be prioritizing that Immortal production to deal with those tanks.
That's a very fast Ghost Academy. But, you see nothing but follow-up with Storm and Charge. Tesla has not played into Colossus, or perhaps this would be a mistake, or even necessarily Mass Blink Stalker Charge that, where EMPs are almost always good. That's always like the trick about talking about Ghost this early, but with how expensive they are, with how much they get sniped or don't get the money EMPs, they really usually are just for the High Templar player, which Tesla has been.
And the funny thing is, because again, like, Tesla is not going to be making a War Prism anytime in the immediate future, nor is he actually making any observers. That the lack of observers will really end up hurting him against such a fast Ghost Academy, because again, Ghosts start with Cloak. They are going to be really difficult to actually prevent, I think.
Did they get rid of that? Or is that the
I
one
think it's coming
up?
on the new patch. It's
okay.
it's not out yet, though.
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, they come with Cloak, but they do not pop with an EMP. You have to get the Mobius reactor, which MNN, man. You want Mobius reactor, you get a nuke, or vice versa, I guess.
Okay.
But are there ghosts? Okay, they're just being made now.
Yeah. Still has a little bit of time. Storm about to complete. This is Tesla's time to shine right now, right before the ghosts pop out, right before they'll have, as you said, enough energy for those EMPs. Tesla might be breaking in at the front, though, and there is a wall as well as a few siege tanks, and this is going to buy Future a bit of time to try and whittle away that Zealot count and also get his army back in position from behind.
This is such a perfect timing, though. Those ghosts have got to be locked in the main base, waiting for the EMPs. The army is not coming from behind, so it's going to be coming, well, I mean, guaranteed it's coming through a choke somewhere, anywhere, and that's where Storms will be especially brutal.
He should see the Ghost if he was really paying attention, attacking his Zealots. Did he notice, though? He really needs to split up those High Templars if he did notice. At least spread them out. Okay, here we go. Storm's going to be coming down, kind of zoning out a lot of the army, getting a lot of good damage, and I actually feel like that was almost still worth it. Losing some more units here.
Yeah.
Not as good, but he does do a lot of damage there.
He managed to get a couple of Storms off, but the EMP taking away all the shields of the Immortals made that especially brutal, and it's a good thing that he recalled when he did. Command Center barely didn't go down, and that would have certainly made the push worth it. As it is, it wasn't necessarily not worth it, but it did almost become a catastrophe.
Yeah, he has 4 more High Templars now out on the map, and oh boy, these drops. Is Tesla going to notice it?
Oh,
oh my god, the High Templars are going to be leading at the back. That one, high energy medevac. Is he going to feed back?
Or not.
He didn't notice.
The medevac is not dead, but Future might still be. Those are very important units that could be on the front lines now. EMPs do exist, but what are they going to blanket? The Archon, the Charge, the Immortals. They catch 2 Immortals so far. The Storms are still in the back, and that third base has got to be lifted.
Oh man, Tesla also has a few Zealots, a lot of cannons, and even a High Templar and an Immortal back at home, so his reaction should be pretty quick over here.
Yeah, that seems to be going to be dealt with.
Storm on the other side of the map, covering and blanketing so much of this army. Mostly just Immortals left over, though, so Future is going to be able to take out some very high-value units. And Archon added into the mix, but not actually getting involved in the fight just yet.
Drop in the third base is only, I mean, it's going to die eventually. That medevac is so low, but the push of Tesla died. That was still a very effective trade for him, lifting the third CC, killing 19 SCVs, and getting a large portion of the army puts Tesla definitely ahead in this game. He's also finalizing 1-1 upgrades, so he'll have that upgrade lead actually only for like 20 more seconds. That probably won't impact the game.
Yeah, that medevac going to be rather annoying to just know that it's back there somewhere. He's got to leave a Stalker here or there. He's going to actually just build a Photon Cannon, which I don't actually hate that decision too much. It's so low on hit points that that'll be dangerous to move out with it.
These medevacs constantly flirting with death. The army is still so close, so this probably isn't worth it. And 2 cannons, especially if they focus fire the medevacs, would make it not worth as well. But if this keeps Tesla's army back, Future can start the process to recovery. Why is he building a planetary?
Desperation? Well, okay, the medevac actually floats its way back into the main base, snipes off a pylon, snipes off a few of these Zealots. That's definitely not too shabby. Some nice little micro also coming out, saving some of the Marines and Marauders. And you saw that Tesla was trying to intercept that medevac drop by going to the far right. He moves back in with the medevac drop into the main base as well.
Oh, that's why. I thought he was defending an orbital with planetary, and I was like, that's not worth it. But it's not the case. So his third becomes a planetary. He has access to a fourth now, although that won't be defended. Very weird stuff here. But Tesla, dealing with the medevac drops, does have this really strong army. The army supply is in favor of Future, but the storms, if they're around, could still be deadly. There's only one ghost in that army.
Oh, and not quite leading the charge right now. Oh my god, those EMPs catching a majority of those High Templars. There's still another storm available. Future gonna have to be careful and back up for now. I really want to take a quick look at those. Oh, okay. Nice pullback from Future. Taking a quick look at those upgrades. It's also worth noting that the armory is only just now finishing up for Future. And Tesla did start up his +2 weapons just now, but he also had his armor upgrade on the way for a little bit.
Yeah. I was looking at the upgrades because as close as those medevacs got to the army, there still isn't Blink.
Yeah.
Which is, we still don't have Liberators on the way. Oh, like 1 or 2, I suppose. But I feel like that would be useful tech to get. Wouldn't mind pop off on the Archon. This seems like too large of a bio army unless those storms can be quite good. There's not a lot of medevacs left over. A lot of the army is quite low.
EMPs come up on the High Templars, but more coming in from behind. And oh my god, the south side gets absolutely decimated. And Tesla even getting his way to the base. He's dancing! GG gets called! And Tesla takes game number 3, moves on out of the group stage.
Just mowed his way up to the natural through a severe choke. Didn't think that was going to work.